Hello there, it's Sean, and this is part 1 of a 3-part video series of the inbound close method. And I will put the links to parts 2 and 3 in the description as well, so be sure to check them out because all 3 parts, part 1 is the content, part 2 is the conversations, and part 3 is the close, are critical to creating what I call the inbound close effect, especially for those of you who have a validated high ticket offer and you've already successfully made several sales on your own. You've enrolled several of your dream clients and you've produced your first 2-3 batches of successful case studies, and you realize that your business has crossed that 0 to 1 mark, and in fact you're already hiring your first setters and closers already. Okay, and you're starting to see that now with you sort of taking a step back, and you have a setup and you have a closer, and then how are you going to make sure that your setters book the right sales calls and your closers enroll the right clients, all without getting into more and more digital chaos, which is what? More funnels, right? More automations, and then more ads, and then you have to stress over, do the funnels connect? Am I going to get my ROI on the ad spend back? And those are thousands and thousands of dollars, hundreds of automations, and what really used to be a extremely simple process for you in the beginning, which is, I believed, you talk to people, you got them on calls, you made your offer, and they bought in, and then you delivered the product, and then they were happy with your service, your coaching, whatever you promised. And it seems that once you onboarded your second and third team member, things all start to go haywire. So the inbound close method is really to bring us back to simplicity, to remind us that what produces our dream client is not more automations. It's not more ad spend pouring into complicated hoops for your prospects to jump, and then while you're having to chase all of that, you initially wanted a lean online business, and then now you have to manage the ads, you have to stress over the campaigns, you have to make sure that they convert, you have to make sure all your automations work, and then you have to manage your setter and your closer. And it's like, what happened to all that lean freedom? You actually experience even more before growing your team. So the inbound close method is really to bring us back into simplicity. Okay, and to remind ourselves that what used to work in the beginning, the essence was always simplicity. So the further we move away from simplicity, the tougher it's going to be. The tougher it's going to be for your setter, for your closer, for your prospects, and for you. So we want to keep things lean. We want to keep things simple. We want to keep our ideal clients coming to us inbound. And that can only mean one thing, which is we should never be chasing. We can never play the numbers game. It's going to affect our relationships, it's going to affect our setter, affect our closer, affect our prospects, affect our reputation. You probably have like dozens of people knocking on your door, cold pitching you daily. Do you respond to those messages? Then why would you want to sell? Like, think of the last time you buy. Did you buy because their automation was really cool? Because they had 15 fancy funnels? Or because you instinctively and then intellectually confirmed and felt that, okay, I am at the right place. I am talking to the right person. This person does have the results and the energy and the alignment that I'm looking for. And I'm in. Isn't that the same essence of simplicity? That you know who you are. You know what you sell. Your prospect knows who you are. Your prospect knows what you sell. For that very reason, when you look at parts 3 and 2 of this series, you'll see that by the time that sales call even happened, in less than 20 minutes, I enrolled one of my most perfect, my most ideal, my dream clients ever. 6K paid in full, no questions asked, showed up for all our calls, did all the work, got the results during his time in my program, created an amazing case study for me to use again and again. All that would not have happened if I chased. All that would not have happened if I forced my setter. And I have worked for, when I was a setter and closer, I have worked for many businesses who were very short-sighted and they just wanted to squeeze the conversions and revenue right now. And say, I don't care what you do, go and cold call. I don't care what you do, go and follow up. I don't care what you do, go and cold DM, go and bring the numbers up. And sure, if you really want to squeeze, you can. Today. This week. And then what happens when the well runs dry? What happens next week? What happens next month? What happens next quarter? What happens next year? Shouldn't there be a simple system for us to seed, educate, nurture and convert all year round, just like so that when you see part 3 of the video, by the time the sales call even happens, if it ever happens, the prospect is not only fully aware, acutely aware of their problem, they are fully aware of your process and they are fully aware of your offer. That's why it can be done in less than 20 minutes. It will not be a case where, it's an hour-long chit-chat call, picking your brain for free, and then in the end, I didn't know that you had something to sell. Bye-bye. It was a tire kicker, unqualified, complete waste of time. When that kind of numbers come in, so what if we have high numbers when the quality doesn't make sense at all? Right, so if you look at part 3 and you see the success of that enrollment call, you'll see that all that happened because of what I'll share in part 2, where the conversations using the content that I will show you now in part 1 did all the heavy lifting, the attracting, the warming, the rapport building, the alignment check, the qualifying, the educating, the nurturing. Because as much as human beings you can force us to push and chase, the one thing that can be the best 24/7 full-time marketer and salesperson is all this static content that will live forever on the internet. And these are things I will show you slowly, step by step later, but these are things that I've created from months and years ago that continue to generate the right kind of leads and prospects. And this is what I call meat for our sellers to eat. Okay? Meat for our sellers to eat. When we don't create opportunities for our sellers to create conversations, we make it very hard for them. Then they have to push, they have to chase, they have to do something to hit the volume and KPIs, and the quality just isn't there. And you can see it, the sellers and closers can see it, and the prospects can feel that they are being pushed. So as the creator, the main creator in our business, sure, we don't have to chase in DMs because we have a seller doing it for us. We don't have to take all the calls because we have a closer doing it for us. We don't even have to do all the coaching because we might have an assistant or another coach to support us on the delivery. But the heart and the essence, the intention, the energy of our signature offer, that comes from the creator. So as the creator, it is our duty to create some kind of a system to provide content that all year round can continue to seed and nurture and attract these prospects that I call meat for our sellers to eat. Because now there's all this prospect for our sellers to follow up. Now there's all these opportunities for our sellers to follow up. And the difference between these kind of leads, as you will see in part 2, compared to cold leads that we chase, now the conversation is different because these guys, they are chasing us. And even today, from things that I've created from 2 years back, right, I can just easily bump it up, and then my sellers will have a refreshed flow of qualified leads. Because these, who do you think will comment on this kind of posts, right? It's people who are aligned with my niche, my offer. So, and these kind of things, it doesn't have to be short posts, right? It can be a long post like this one, right? Tell your story, the milestones that you've crossed, the signature process that you use, the results that you've gotten. And this one, it wasn't even for a free thing. As you will see in part 2, I made an offer for a paid thing and just close it in the DMs. It can be short form, it can be long form, and please do not like feel stressed or overwhelmed over like, Sean, what kind of content do I have to create? When you talk to your prospects, they will tell you. They will ask you the same kind of questions again and again and again, and you should document them. You should take it as a sign that, okay, I'm gonna pin the top 3 things right here that they ask me all the time, right? So don't stress over what kind of content to create, because they will tell you, and I'm just gonna pin it here. I'm gonna pin it on my stories. I'm gonna put it on my featured posts, because I know that I put it up here once, my sellers and closers will have meat to eat forever. The right kind of meat that sets the right stage for the conversations. By the time it ever happens, they're already problem, process, solution aware. So I hope that all makes sense, and I know that there's a variety of content here, and you don't need to really create all these different types. The whole point about running your lean business is that the more energy you put into your content, right, your content stays forever, right? It just so happens that I'm someone who loves to put out videos like this. I'm someone that likes to share my thoughts. I'm someone that likes to give my best work out for free. I'm someone that likes to write. And the thing about liking that particular mode of expression, and you can just choose one, whether it's writing, video, and audio. Don't feel like, hey, if I just choose, let's say, audio, I'm shortchanging myself. No, because you have to look at the energy. If you creating audios gives you the best energy back. Like when I write, I get a lot of clarity for myself. When I produce videos, I feel extremely fulfilled. When I create audios, I feel extremely challenged, because these are real calls, right? When I make these videos, I feel a certain way, and this feeling, it doesn't drain me. It rejuvenates me, because now it allows me to create even more and more and more. And this content, they're your 24/7 salesperson and marketer. They live on the internet forever. They crawl the algorithm forever. A gentle bump from you, from your seller, spikes the algorithm again, and a snowball effect happens. And all your seller has to do, as you will see in part 2 of this video series, they just need to be present to answer questions, send these out, make invitations on call. So it doesn't matter what the platform is, as long as you can put out content, have messages, even email, right? If anything that allows a call to action, even TikTok, right? Feel free to experiment, find your voice. But once the energy runs, your seller benefits from this energy. Once the algorithm catches on, your closer or yourself benefits from this energy. And not all of these are free. All the paid ones, you can put them together like all my paid ones are here. All my paid products are here. So as long as you just continue to deposit, I didn't do this overnight. This was like 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. Or what you're seeing is like years of hard work. But once it's all here and it continues to snowball, you just need to deposit. Your seller gets to cash out. Your closer gets to cash out, and when your prospect, they enroll and they benefit and they transform in your program. And right here, they get to succeed. They get to cash out. So where does the top of that process all start? It's from the time you put out your best content. And don't try to be perfect. Don't try to write in a way that you're not. Tap into your heart. Tap into the deepest stories, the most authentic conversations, experiences that you've had. Share your deepest truth, and I can tell you, your ideal clients, they will look through the imperfections. They will look through your camera, your microphone, your editing skills, your grammar, your accent, because they are looking at your inner man or your inner woman. They are looking at your truth. So you go ahead and be your most raw, authentic, real self, because that's who your client wants to see. They don't want to see your 15 funnels and paid automations and all the bunch of stuff that just breaks that connection. Right. So as long as you're putting up meat to eat with a specific call to action, okay, feel free to experiment. You don't have to follow my style. Okay, play around, have fun. Okay, don't need to be too attached to, oh, I got to format it like this, and I got to have. The more you try to force it, the more stiff it's gonna become. The more fun, right, that you can have, the more you can be yourself and tell your real stories and show yourself, the more your audience is just gonna scroll through your stuff and say like, why does this guy or why does this person feel different? How is he able to constantly give out all his best work, and there's so much abundance here? And sure, the editing may not be perfect, right? The video audio may not be perfect. There's always gonna be someone with a better camera and editing and all that stuff. But do you think your audience, your ideal client, if they were sitting in front of you right now, are you going to give them a camera? Are you going to give them a polished video? Are you going to give them a $5,000 microphone? Or are you going to say, here's how I did it, here's how you can do it, and I'm going to guide you how to do it, I'm going to coach you, I believe in you, and I'm going to help you believe in yourself? Which one do you think they care about more? So every time your mind tells you to spend 10 hours on Canva or get the best automation or run the best ads, if it works for you, that's great. But if you feel like it's getting to a point where you're kind of not knowing your essence anymore, okay, come back to these 3 videos. Study part 1, this one, okay, go through part 2 to see how this authentic form of content pulls all the conversations inbound so we don't chase. And by the time it even gets to part 3, a sales call, it's an effortless enrollment. Every time you feel overwhelmed by the chaos, right, pull yourself back to simplicity and go through videos 1, 2, and 3, and remember that it's the content and conversation that does all the heavy lifting. So by the time a sales call even happens, the prospect knows it's a sales call. They book a call, just like you see in part 3. They book that call just to enroll. No tire kickers, no unqualified time wasters. They're all highly qualified buyers that now when you look at it, okay, you no longer avoid creating content. Your seller no longer feels dread or lethargy, clearing your inbox. Everyone from yourself to your closer to your seller to your coach to your prospects, it's all aligned. Everyone looks forward to getting to this energy. Okay, and all that seed, all that starts with you as the main creator. You have to be clear about your intention and your energy, because you can mess up on the graphics, you can mess up on the copy, you can mess up on your accent, your grammar, whatever the external stuff are, but you cannot mess up on the internal stuff. Okay, so I will put the links to parts 2 and 3 in the description so you can study the entire flow from content to conversation to call. And at any point, Okay, if you have a question on, Sean, I'm actually not quite clear what my offer should be, and I'm not clear on how to produce the content. Like, how can I do it in such a way that it's consistent and it doesn't drain me, and like you said, it gives me good energy, right? And for those of you who are already hiring setters and closer, okay, I'm very happy to look through your setters and closers work as well, see some of their messages and their sales calls, just to make sure that the whole process, okay, it's a free audit, no sales pitch, okay, just a one-on-one call. You'll hear more about that in part 2. Okay, free audit, no pitch, look through your entire setup from content to conversation to close, and see how we can properly align and streamline the whole process so that it no longer becomes a machine that you avoid, but it becomes this thing where the more energy you put in to give it, the more energy your business supports you back. It is a virtuous cycle where everyone benefits from. Okay, so save the links to all 3 videos, and I will see you in video number 2.